So I added another piece of trace here, and you can see now I have the majority of kind of the form and the colors developed already. And this process is time consuming because it's a little scary if you're just doing this for the first time. And so what I did was, instead of drawing real hard lines on these edges, because it'd still be really hard to get those lines perfect, what I did was I started just by stippling, and I just did little dots along this edge, and I did them closer and closer and closer together until the line connected. And then once I had those lines together, you can see down here a little bit, then I was able to come confidently and do a nice thick line. But the stippling kind of softened the edges a little bit. So I did that at the bottom here, at the edge here, up here at the top, along the side, all to get that sense of what we call, it's an Italian word called chiaroscuro, which is the subtle shading from dark to light that indicates a curve. And so you can see here, even though this whole object is the same color, it's darker at the top and at the edges because that's how you convey a curved form. And so you can see here, I did it all up here. And then once I had enough stippling, and that's when I got a little bit more brave and decided to use, you know, some lines coming through here to really indicate that shape. You can see here the thickness of this shell is right here. You can see there's a little bit of my stippling left over. So once I had the stippling in place, then I grabbed my gold marker and I just did some real loose kind of indications of color here, and used my finger, and you can wet it if you want to get it a little bit of a more of a watercolor effect here, but it was real loose. Now notice when I'm drawing, I'm echoing the curves. See, so that way it starts to give an indication of this form. Now, I'm not really being color shy here. I'm doing really nice dark lines because eventually this is going to have a transparency added to it so that we can see the dining room behind it. And so I'm being very heavy-handed with my application of color and texture in preparation for that. So the last thing I did once I had my color applied was I went in and added my white highlights. And you can see here, they're at the top and along the sides, and it's just where something would go from dark to light. So if you see my hand, you can see it's dark at the top and light at the bottom. And so that's what I tried to mimic here and get it a little bit of some hot spots on this object. And so this is one of those things that the more you work on it, the better it will look. And then eventually you have to just stop because you don't want to go go overboard too much. Otherwise, it'll look too dark or a little bit messy. But right now, I'm content with it. The most important thing really here is to learn how to use that wireframe drawing that's all the way back down here, that creates something that's digital and doesn't have necessarily the organic character that you might be going for. And then you create something that's really unique feature that you could only do by hand, but you do that using, of course, all of the things that we've learned about perspective so far, like vanishing points and, of course, drawing the box it came in.